Friends, welcome to my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's not difficult for you, but it's nice for me, and we're starting. I shushed Michael to shut up when I saw my home number pop up on my mobile. The lover looked at me with the look of a little boy who was denied a piece of candy. Dave, darling, I was just going to call you. I went to bed and just wanted to hear your voice again before I fell asleep. How easy it has become to lie. My affair with my boss, Michael, had been going on for 3 months now, even though it was only the 4th time we'd moved out together, and the first time for anything other than a quick love in a motel room. It was the second night of a 4-day work conference 2 states away from home. Yesterday, we made love like rabbits all evening, and once in the middle of the night, and again this morning. And in the evening, we had dinner at a posh restaurant, and then we came back and undressed. Me, right down to the black belt on suspenders and stockings. He's ridiculously boxers painted with ladybugs. I thought the message I sent to Dave was, I'm very tired. I go to bed early. Kiss the children good night for me. Will give me some peace for this evening. Last night it hurt me to talk to Dave while Michael was turning his phallus inside me. My husband did not deserve such an attitude on my part. Honestly. So today I tried to get out of it. That's just the conscience. Conscience prevented me from fully enjoying the moment. I've never consciously sought an affair, but the half-drunk first meeting with Michael brought me such deep satisfaction that I just kept coming back for more. He was big. Do you understand what I mean? And he knew how to use it. This does not mean that the risk of losing my marriage to my fantastic husband and 2 beautiful daughters did not scare the hell out of me. He was scaring me. Scared me to the point of colic, to the point of inner trembling. But I'm a weak woman and I just couldn't deny myself the pleasure. At the same time, I sincerely hoped that the infatuation would pass soon and promised myself that I would never do it again. But then again, I told myself that after John, and after the floor, and after Ian, I ignored my husband's words when Michael came to the foot of the bed, roughly spread my legs and plunged into my gut with his tongue. An involuntary groan escaped my lips in anticipation. But reality returned with a bang, and I was forced to remember that Michael was a cunnilingus shit. Davey was enjoying his meal, and it turned me on so much. Michael was just mechanically performing the necessary manipulations. The amount of wine I drank at dinner, Michael's mischief, and memories of Dave's oral skills created a surreal combination. I was so excited that I was almost suffocating. This, combined with the roar of blood in my ears, made me think about what Dave had just asked me. Thinking quickly, I assumed he was asking about my day, as usual. Dave, let's not talk about my boring conference. Let's talk about what I'm going to do to you in bed when I get home on Friday. Dave's response made me drop the phone like a hot potato and rush to the edge of the bed to sit up straight. Whimpering and cupping my throbbing crotch with my palm, I reached for the phone again, but I heard the disconnect signal before it reached my ear. I pressed the speed dial button, 1, but I only received a connection signal. 2 more attempts caused the same failure. Michael was confused. What the hell did that loser tell you? He's. Take a deep breath and take a sip. When I said that I was going to shake his world when I got home on Friday, he asked, Are you horny, baby? Did Michael leave you unsatisfied last night? I almost howled. He knows, Michael. Dave knows about us. I need to go home. Right now. Ignoring the pain, I dressed quickly, threw my clothes into my suitcase, and headed for the door. Cindy, do you think your husband knows who my wife is? Michael asked in an agitated voice. Without even looking at the selfish jerk, I ignored his plaintive question and rushed to the lobby, where the night porter called me a taxi. And then I was sitting at the fucking Brisbane airport from fucking 11 p.m. to fucking 5 a.m. Constant calls to the home phone returned only the call signals. Dave's cell phone was no better. There I went straight to voicemail. I left Melbourne Airport at 7:30 a.m. and caught a $150 taxi to our country house. I expected it to be empty because of the kids at school and Dave at work, but when I opened the door, the house seemed more than just empty. It looked abandoned. A scary but quick examination revealed what I was afraid of. A lot of Dave's and the girls' stuff is missing. I screamed in despair at my situation. Knowing that all this doomsday was the result of my stupidity and lustfulness did not lessen the gravity of the situation. Desperate for cheerfulness, I made myself a strong coffee. lack of sleep for more than 24 hours, the almost sleepless night before, and being awake in flight from heavy thoughts turned me into a zombie. So, where will Dave go anyway? It took me an hour to remember. Our phones have apps loaded to search for a partner's phone. It took another hour to figure out how to use this stuff. But she still showed me Dave's cell phone in the direction north on the Hume Highway. I should have known right away. In times of stress, Dave always went to his sister, his only living relative. She lived in Albury, which we got to via Hume. Running out of the house and taking nothing with me except the luggage I had in Brisbane, I gave chase. The 4-hour drive towards Albury turned into a nightmare. The roads are boring, and I tried my best not to fall asleep. But I just knew that the sooner I got to Dave, the better the chance that my wonderful marriage would survive. A wonderful marriage? Why am I only thinking about this now? What a fool. I was awake and constantly calling Dave's cell phone. I've been puzzling over what I know about the divorce. I knew that the law favored women to get custody of any children, and that even the presumption of shared care returned to the fact that the husband was allowed access to children irregularly. Dave lived for our children. He would never agree to such a thing. If necessary, I can use it against him. If my pleas don't help, they will turn into threats. I managed to stay awake until I parked at my sister-in-law's cottage. The house was empty and quiet. They probably anticipated my pursuit and fled. I decided to sit in the car and wait for them to return. I must have dozed off for a couple of hours, as it was already late in the evening when I woke up. Power nap has done me some good. I kicked myself for not doing the obvious by using the Find a Phone feature again. What the hell? Dave's phone was now entering the outer suburbs of Sydney. Without much thought, like a terrier chasing a fox, I gave chase. A near-death state of complete exhaustion forced me to stay at a motel in the town of Yass. Before I collapsed on the bed, I checked where Dave was. The phone was identified in the Talisman area, in Sydney. Who the fuck is he doing in Talisman? There are no acquaintances or relatives there. No one I can remember. I woke up a little after 4 in the morning and thought that I could wake Dave up when he was sleepy to reject my call. I dialed his mobile number. Go straight to voicemail. Holy shit. Dave, what are you doing? I gritted my teeth in frustration and headed north again. By 8, I was already on the outskirts of Sydney and decided to be smart. I stopped and looked at where my husband was now. Phew, he's still in the Mascot. I put the Talisman in my sat-nav and hit the road again. Do you know what traffic is like in Sydney on the Thursday before the long weekend? One word is a nightmare. When I finally got to the Talisman, my car was running on the last drops of gasoline. To be honest, I also held on only by willpower. A quick snack at a roadside diner is simply not enough to withstand the stress I have. Pulling over to the side of the road, I decided to take another look at exactly where Dave was. What the fuck? According to the testimony, he was located 50 kilometers east of Sydney. How can this be? All that is there is the Tasman Sea. When I looked closely, I saw that its height is 6,000 meters and its speed is more than 500 kilometers per hour. That bastard was on the plane. I watched as the trail turned north and disappeared. Dave and my kids were on a plane going nowhere. Well, Dave. Well, hubby. Just let me get to you. I decided to move on, but I was confused, not knowing what to do now. When I saw the signs for the hotel at the airport, I slowed down. Paying for a room, even for one night, dealt a serious blow to the funds available on my credit card. In the relative serenity of my room, I reproached myself for not checking at home whether the children's passports were in the safe. I just stared at my phone and was thrilled when, sometime later, the locator suddenly showed that Dave was 10,000 meters above Port Moresby, in Papua New Guinea. Of course, Dave wouldn't take the kids to such a dangerous place. However, it got me thinking, how long has Dave been preparing for this? If he knows the divorce laws as well as I do, can he run away with the children to a place where I can't find them? Of course not. He's not that stupid. He's a bastard, but he's a smart bastard. He understands that I will find him anyway, even if he hides in the ass of the world. I must have dozed off for a while, because when I woke up, I found that Dave was in Bangkok. However, I wasn't going to make the same mistake again and decided to keep an eye on him to make sure he wasn't transiting somewhere else. It was a long night, at the end of which Dave was still in Thailand. Now my problem was how to get from Sydney to Thailand when my damn passport was at home in Melbourne. Trying to book a plane ticket home showed that my credit card was exhausted. I jumped online and after a few clicks discovered that all but $2,000 had disappeared from all accounts that I could access. It definitely looked like my smart hubby had made his feet and left me without any resources to find him. But why would he leave something for me? His sense of fair play? The remaining drop of love for me? I stopped understanding him. I transferred the money to a credit card and bought the cheapest flight ticket from Sydney to Melbourne. I threw the car to hell in the parking lot at the airport. My children were more important to me. The budget airline canceled the first 2 flights that could have taken me to my passport. Heck, why didn't I think of taking him with me right away? I was hoping Dave and the girls would stay in Thailand for a fun day off. Otherwise, I'd be so damn unhappy. The money was running out catastrophically. I returned home after another exorbitantly expensive taxi ride. I made sure that Dave hadn't moved anywhere yet and called the travel agency I usually used. The next morning, I received an accelerated place in a freight class transporting cattle to Thailand. She confirmed that I don't need a visa. A trip to the safe for my passport confirmed that my children's passports were not there. I just gritted my teeth. Watch out, Davey. I'm coming. Since the flight was at 8 a.m. and I didn't have a car, I ordered a taxi for 4 a.m. and went to pack my things. When the sky was still pitch black, I woke up quite alarmed. Well, at least I got some sleep. Stress grew on stress when I went to get my little travel suitcase and the handle broke off. The taxi driver fumed as I quickly stuffed all my gear into the only other suitcase of the same size that I had. Flights were popular that morning, as if for evil. I struggled through the long queue at check-in and customs to get to the waiting room. Just in time. After getting into the cattle truck, I checked. Dave was still in Bangkok until the hostess of the flight growled at me to turn off the phone. As soon as we took off, I used the plane's internet to enable international roaming on my phone. It distracted me from the fact that my ass was already numb from the hard plastic seat, and I was surrounded by big hairy men who smelled like they hadn't washed in a week. The hours dragged on. I got off the airbridge and walked along the row of windows outside, trying not to think about how dangerously small my funds were, but calmly confident that I could, if not persuade, then intimidate Dave. Impatiently, I turned on the Find Phone function on my phone, and it immediately beeped. Dave was only 346 meters away from me, directly to the east. Running to the nearest window, I found myself looking in exactly the right direction. Holy shit. My blood froze in my veins when I looked at the indicated course. There was only one building in the right place and at about the right distance. It had a huge logo of an international courier company on it. My brain has made connections. Now Dave's plan has become obvious. He sent his switched-on phone, with the power bank program, through a courier service to where his wayward but stupid wife would follow. Suddenly, Dave's goal of leaving me a small amount of money made sense. He wanted me to be able to go that far. But why? 2 things struck me. First of all, Dave knew me well enough to know that I would immediately give chase. And secondly, Dave really wasn't in the mood to forgive. But it's some kind of stupid revenge to throw me to hell in the middle of nowhere. What's the point? He doesn't think I'm going to get lost and end up on a desert island. Having no other choice, I continued my way to the customs office. Now I'm going to buy a return flight ticket to get the hell out of here, and I'm going to sit at the airport until it's time to go home. What other choice did I have? No, I didn't have the money to stay anywhere, and I might have to walk home from Melbourne Airport. It dawned on me. I called Michael. He answered after a few agonizing seconds. I was ashamed to ask him, but there was no way out. Mikey, could you transfer some money to my card? No, he said shortly, and hung up. Everyone betrayed me. That's it. I stood at the end of the queue at Thai Customs. I've been exhausted from the chase for the last 2 days. And then I noticed 2 heavily armed police officers walking slowly along the line. They were constantly looking at some photo, and then carefully at each woman. Their faces lit up with joy when they saw me. Dave Brown tiptoed out of the bedroom, where his 2 adorable daughters had finally fallen asleep, sat down in a comfortable old armchair, and poured himself some whiskey. He wasn't used to being alone and couldn't decide whether to watch an old movie or read a book. It was a relaxing couple of days at a local resort with his work partner Bill, Bill's wife Nancy, and their son. This boy was about the same age as his eldest daughter. The only concern these days was to keep an eye on two horny girls enjoying the pools, water park, ice cream, and other amenities. Arriving home at 2 o'clock in the morning, when Bill carried the sleeping girls in his arms to their bedrooms, took its toll, and he doubted that he would last long reading or watching a movie. His thoughts were interrupted by the ringing of his home phone. Dave Brown here. Hello, my name is Jack Bloodstone. I'm from the Australian consulate in Bangkok. I'm calling about your wife, Cindy Brown. Dave interrupted him before Jack could explain the reason for his call. You see, Cindy Brown is still officially my wife, but we broke up, Mr. Bloodstone. If she has any problems, I don't feel obligated to help her with anything. Are you aware, Mr. Brown, of your ex-wife's money problems? Yes, it would be correct to say that she had money problems after leaving for her lover. Wait, are you calling from Bangkok? What the hell is she doing there? Well, it's a sad story. Do you think she is so desperate for money to act as a courier? I don't know. My ex-wife. She is somewhat unpredictable. Anything can happen. I recently found out that she was hanging out with all sorts of dubious types with a dark past. So you said Thailand? They look extremely askance at importers of banned substances there, don't they? Yes, Mr. Brown, of course. If she is found guilty, she will face 15 years in Thai prison, which, I can assure you, is not at all like the Australian one. 15 years. Oh my God. It's very bad, isn't it? My God. She's completely out of her mind. The Australian government will provide her with a lawyer if she cannot pay for it herself. Yes, I suppose she will have to rely on a legal advisor provided by the government, or, if you want, I can give you some phone numbers of her family. So, I'll clarify. Aren't you going to help your wife? No, I'm not going to. It's a pity, of course, for a stupid woman. But, as I said, we broke up. I have a request. Please keep me informed. We'll have to say something to our daughters. As you wish, Mr. Brown. I'll write you an email. Could you provide the phone numbers of her family, as you suggested earlier? Dave dictated the phone numbers of Cindy's parents and her sister. I'll be waiting for your call. My cell phone number. I'll be in touch, Mr. Brown. Good. Goodbye. Dave hung up the phone and leaned back in his chair. Something pricked his leg. He reached out and took 3 screws out of his pocket. Such nickel-plated screws were usually used to attach handles to a suitcase. He put them on the table next to the chair and smiled. Oh, the agony of choice, Dave thought. Should I send photos to Michael's wife now? Or put it off until tomorrow? To hell with all these worries. Tomorrow will be a day. You will have a fresh head and everything will be fine. As soon as Cindy is convicted, he will think about sending her some reading material. For example, her diaries, which he found. He first looked at them when Cindy was unpacking the things they had taken from her mother's house after the funeral. Cindy acted like she wanted Dave not to know about their existence. She grabbed her notebooks and ran into the bedroom. When she returned, she irritably reprimanded him about how it was wrong to read other people's notes. This behavior caused alarm. If she had been calm, he wouldn't have thought of them. He had to admit that she hid them well. It took him 2 weeks of searching to find it. Reading her barely disguised hints about the first 3 novels, Dave knew that she would get lost again, and he would be able to get absolute proof not only for himself, but also for his daughters. He knew that in the coming years he would need both so that his daughters would understand and forgive him for what he was going to do. It's funny how trust can make you blind, because as soon as he started looking for signs of her infidelity, he found them almost immediately. The rest, as they say, is a matter of technique. Picking up the glass, he sipped the alcohol and a couple of tears rolled down his cheeks. Despite everything, Dave loved his wife. He had difficulty coming up with a plan for his revenge. The difficulty was not in the organizational details. It was just that simple. He knew Sydney as well as he knew himself, and could predict her actions in a given situation with 100% probability. The difficulty lay in his state of mind. He couldn't physically do that to her, and he constantly had to remind himself what awaits him in the case of an ordinary divorce. Loss of home, money, comfort, and, most importantly, the loss of his girls. And what good can children get if their mother starts openly jumping from bed to bed, at the same time, risking both their health and the well-being of their daughters? What lesson will she teach them by her behavior? How will her changing fans treat the girls? These thoughts decided the fate of the prodigal wife. The axe fell. Dave raised his glass and held it up to the photo of him and Cindy on their wedding day, which was in a place of honor above the fireplace. "I'm sorry, dear, but